Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing, is Antony living up to his £81 million price tag? We're also going to dive into a little Diogo Dalot chat and also talking about Alexis Mac Allister, who could be very much on the move in the summer. This is the Premier League review. We're going to split it into two parts, one part coming out on Monday and the second part coming out on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss out on any of that good stuff. Let's dive straight in. Antony's one of his best performances in a Manchester United shirt coming against Nottingham Forest, a goal and an assist. Antony is slowly improving in a Manchester United shirt in terms of his, the variation in his game, his ability to not only score but also create, and his movement in behind has been really good in recent weeks. The whole chat about the price tag is obviously going to come with a player that's bought for, nearly €100 million. But I think in a sense we need to move away from the sort of sensationalism that we see week in, week out. Is Manchester United forward starting to live up to the hype? As a player, we've got to give him time to develop. We've got to give him time to build. Coming into the Premier League, one of the toughest leagues in the world, it's going to take time for a 23-year-old to find his feet. And I think this kind of the last month of the season, we're starting to see Antony play at a higher level than he has ever done at Manchester United, really growing into that starting shirt, the tenacity, the variation in his build-up and so forth. But before we sort of dive into the Antony analysis, let's touch on Diogo Dalot. Diogo Dalot played an interesting position against Nottingham Forest. Instead of playing the usual right-back position that we've come to see under Eric Ten Hag, Diogo Dalot actually played at left-back. This is a position that he's played previously. This is actually the position that he came through at Porto playing as an inverted left-back that would come inside onto his stronger foot in the final third and look to get inverted and cross to the back post. It's an interesting one because we've seen players in the Premier League in recent years really excel in this role. Cancelo is a fine example of a right-footed left-back that plays his best football on the left-hand side versus the right. And I could actually argue that you get the best out of Diogo Dalot if you play him as a left-back versus a right-back. For Manchester United against Nottingham Forest, of course, setting up in the 4-2-3-1, losing Marcel Sabitzer to injury before the game with Christian Eriksen coming into defensive midfield. One of my concerns with Christian Eriksen when he plays defensive midfield, of course, is his defensive ability. He's not renowned for winning the ball back, not renowned for covering space well. But I think one of the big things with Diogo Dalot inverting into the position is it pushes Christian Eriksen into a higher position so he can link with Bruno Fernandes and the forwards ahead of him. Of course, Jadon Sancho started on the left-hand side for Manchester United with Marcus Rashford's injury. But that made Manchester United have a really solid base in a possession structure that allowed them to play through and then get Christian Eriksen in between the lines or link with Bruno Fernandes as we saw for that second goal. And I really feel this has got to be a model for Eric Ten Hag going forward. I thought Aaron Wan-Bissaka again had a pretty decent game inverting in the final third, but it very much was Diogo Dalot joining the base. Similar to how we see Zinchenko invert for Arsenal or alternatively John Stones recently for Manchester City. It is the meta for the top sides, building with three at the back, two defensive midfielders and then the front five of forwards. And this allows United to play through a bit better. It allows them to dominate. But let's dive into that first goal that Antony scored to really sort of see what the consequence is of Diogo Dalot inverting, pushing Christian Eriksen higher up the pitch. So we're going to start the move for the goal at the back at centre-back with Victor Lindelof, who I thought had a really good game. One of the big things against Nottingham Forest, they were playing a 3-4-1-2, which meant that Morgan Gibbs-White had two players to deal with in Manchester United's build-up, Casemiro and Diogo Dalot. We're coming to the play with Diogo Dalot being in a central position. He's going to move wide to receive the ball. Morgan Gibbs-White has got a big problem. This broke the Nottingham Forest press time and time again, Diogo Dalot in this central position. What it meant for United was a really simple ball progression option, dealing with Nottingham Forest's first two lines, their two strikers, Brennan Johnson and Awoniyi. So playing through, United have taken out three players of Nottingham Forest with Diogo Dalot inverting. Very comfortable first touch. Again, taking the possession forward and allowing United to get into the final third. Consequently, what we saw with Nottingham Forest was their two defensive midfielders have real problem dealing with Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, which led Manchester United dominate the final third, but also dominate the penalty area. Straight away with Diogo Dalot carrying, taking the three players out, brings questions for Freuler. Does he deal with Christian Eriksen and block the pass in, or does he go and close the play down? He jumps out in this moment, which leaves massive space for Christian Eriksen to move on his blind side and get possession behind the Nottingham Forest midfield line. Again, great possessional play from Manchester United, but also real confidence on the ball from Dalot, but also Christian Eriksen. What that means is he cause a problem. Consequently, we can see the Nottingham Forest centre-half being pulled out of position. Really good possession play for Manchester United, caused by this 3-2-5 structure that Erik ten Hag went with in the Midlands. And I think from this moment, obviously, United get behind the midfield line. They've already beaten that forward line in the press, and then it is working the ball into the forward. Antony Martial had another good game linking the play. All we want to see now is him play 90 minutes and not have an injury. Would be absolutely fantastic. What I love from this, though, is the intensity of Antony Martial. Got to give him big plaudits for this move. Of course, United do lose the ball. Good pressure from Nico Williams. But as soon as Antony Martial loses the ball, he starts the press. He's very, very aggressive. And I think one of the big things United need to improve on is the players near the ball, squeezing the play a lot more. Christian Eriksen, obviously Jadon Sancho in this move, don't get involved. It very much is a solo action from Antony Martial to press the ball, win it back, and then instantly spin in behind. Fantastic first-time pass from Bruno Fernandes. But let's now focus on Antony. This, of course, is the big sort of focus of this video. Antony is improvements. We spoke last week about how he improved running behind the opponent's backline, being an option in behind the defence, making the wrong decision. The improvement here that I liked about him is he's committing to attack the ball in the right area. There were instances in this matches where he didn't do that, where he's got to look to get better in this instance, but he reads the play really well. Martial allows the ball to come across him, really good strike with his left foot, and it breaks Antony, who has the beating of René Lodi, who reacts better and puts the ball in the back of the net to give Manchester United the lead. Big improvements from Antony in that area, reacting. But let's take a look at some other moments of the game that I really liked. I liked how he utilised the ball. One of the big things with Antony, you need to get bodies round him. You need to get runners off him. I thought that Bruno Fernandes and Aaron Wan-Bissaka did it really well against Forest. Antony's a player that's got that ability to spot a pass, and we saw it a few times in the game, spotting underlaps when teammates making those forward runs. It's a really good forward moment from Bruno Fernandes. Of course, what happens is the opposite movement. Antony driving back, in terms of going away from the opponent's goal, but Bruno Fernandes making the run the opposite way, perfectly found by Antony with the reverse pass, which creates a great opportunity. Bruno strikes a goal, and Jadon Sancho really should be putting the ball in the back of the net, but great awareness from Antony. We saw that again for the goal. The implications of playing this kind of 3-2-5 structure, of course, the fluidity. At times we saw Christian Eriksen dropping deep, we saw Casemiro dropping deep in between, to the left, to the right of the back two. This time, of course, we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka high, Antony in the inside right channel. This is something that we saw against Forest in the League Cup for the first time. A little bit of difference of him not always receiving wide, but receiving in the inside channel. This goal comes from the positional play, and the build-up is fantastic from Manchester United. Again, a 2v2 on Forest on their midfield, which consequently means there's massive space in the inside channels. United have played through the three forwards, then they've then drawn the two Forest central midfielders in, which basically opens up massive space in between the lines. A great first-time ball from Diogo Dalot into the feet of Bruno Fernandes, which opens up big problems for Nottingham Forest. Their back five is dealing with United's front five. It's man for man. There's only going to be one winner in this situation. What I like from this moment is Antony's ability to spot the pass again, cutting across the defensive line. Brilliant run off the ball from Weghorst, pulling the two middle defenders away from that central space. In this situation, you've got a big problem for Nottingham Forest. Both centre-backs, Diakate and Felipe, press the football, which opens up a big bit of space. Fantastic run off the ball from Diogo Dalot. Cracking reverse pass from Antony, and he finishes past Keylor Navas. A very, very good goal. Great awareness from Antony, creating problems. But that all came from the build-up of Manchester United. A really solid 2 base, 5 attackers. Forest couldn't deal when it was man for man. The fluidity and structure for Manchester United was absolutely fantastic on screen. Obviously, we've got the more standard build-up that we saw, the 3 defenders, the 2 defensive midfielders with Christian Eriksen high up the pitch. For that goal, of course, we saw it kind of shift over with Antony moving to the inside right channel, Aaron Wan-Bissaka high, and Christian Eriksen in between the 2 centre-backs. But that pressure that Forest had to commit to Diogo Dalot and Casemiro to try and catch them high, to try and get back into the game, opened up a 5v5 on the Forest backline, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think the big thing with Antony, you know, it's work in progress, and it's a player that is developing, and a player that's developing in the Premier League. I think there are parts of the game that Antony needs to, you know, be a bit better on. You know, he scored a really good goal reacting to that Anthony Martial shot. But here's a moment 10 minutes before with some good interplay from Dalot, Fernandes in behind. And where Antony needs to start attacking that 6-yard box, be a lot more aggressive, because Bruno Fernandes has got the quality to create. Same with Christian Eriksen, same with Jadon Sancho. And that sort of commitment to attack the box has got to be really, really important. Gary Neville on commentary spoke about how Man City would attack the back post with the opposite winger. This is something that Antony needs to do a lot more. He's a little bit caught on his heels in a sense, maybe waiting for the cutback. But him attacking that back post would have, you know, again, opened up the scoring for Manchester United. I think one of the other things that Erik ten Hag mentioned in his post-game interview, he should have passed it to Christian Eriksen in 2 moments. Here's one of them. Antony again receiving wide, driving, committing the defender, doing everything right, but he's got to drop the ball back on his right foot there to Christian Eriksen on the edge of the box. He has to play that pass. But again, work in progress. And that's the big thing. Going back to our initial point of conversation, you know, is Manchester United forward starting to live up to his £81 million price tag? He's starting to, yes, but there's got to be development. He's got to be given time, but he also has to make better decisions. He's already starting to do that. And by the end of the season, Manchester United are going to have a top quality right winger. So looking at Antony's numbers for the game against Nottingham Forest, he completed 31 passes in the opponent's final third. Only Bruno Fernandes made more. A goal and an assist. 1 big chance created. He had 7 shots in the game, which is his most in a single Premier League match. Absolutely fantastic forward play from Antony, who really opened up the opposition. I think one of the big things with United as well, the kind of, the other big things that we spoke about, the change in build-up structure with Diogo Dalot coming inside. We can see Christian Eriksen's position is very high in the opponent's half. That's exactly what I want to see. But also Diogo Dalot was brilliant with the ball at his feet, made great decisions in possession, was caught out once, you'd say, in that kind of centre-back position. Needs to be a little bit better there, but overall I thought he was fantastic. We can see how inverted he is on the heat map, but great statistics in the game. Created 2 chances, 2 shots on goal, really contributing in the final third for Manchester United. And finally, one of the big things that Man United have got to do in the summer is recruit a number 8. Man United very much have been utilising Christian Eriksen at the base of midfield to good effect, but I would like to see Christian Eriksen higher up the pitch. One player that is going to be linked with a summer move to Manchester United is Alexis Mac Allister. I think he'd be superb for the role. I think defensively, Alexis Mac Allister is a little bit better than Christian Eriksen in terms of winning tackles and winning the ball back through interceptions. Also, he's got the Eriksen style in terms of he is a playmaker that's going to roam. He can operate in the inside channels. He can get on the ball. One thing that I definitely think that he needs to improve on is his finishing in the final third. I think he gets into really good positions and has got a good amount of XG that he's put together this season, but he needs to improve himself in the penalty area, especially when working with another centre forward and another attacking midfielder to score more goals. A quality player, I think, available for around £50 million. Should Manchester United make the move? I think there's potentially other players they should be recruit for. Before looking at a kind of number 8 player, you know, we're looking at a centre forward that's got to come in before potentially a goalkeeper. But Alexis Mac Allister is one of the best space players from central midfield in the Premier League. So I do like him. I think he's got a great profile, but could cost maybe a little bit too much money when United are probably going to be spending a lot on the number 9 position. But anyway, guys, what have you thought of the Premier League review? Part 1, we've spoke about Antony, Diogo Dalot and Manchester United. Make sure to check out SofaScore. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.